have the Ayatollah of fantasy rock and roll with us today, Adam Rank. How you doing, Rank?
They look great in person, and I just can't wait till next year where we can pack it full of 25,000.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I didn't know it was Ball Guys Day. It was being ranked. I mean, how do you lose?
This is the Dynasty Vipers ViperCast.
Hello and welcome back to the Dynasty Vipers ViperCast. This is episode 136, and we are here once again presented by the Fantasy Points Media Group. And before we get into today's show, just take a second because our friends, our family over at Fantasy Points, they've got all kinds of content coming at you here in this month here, coming up before training camp kicks off. And you can get it for a little bit cheaper, 10% off by using promo code VIPERS22. And listen, here's what you got. You get Graham Barfield's Best Ball Tiers. That's released all positions. You get the Franchise Focus Series beginning on June 24th. 32 days, 32 articles, 32 podcasts. You want content? We got content there. Key off-season moves. Scott Barrett's Strength of Schedule. Graham Barfield's Pace and Tendencies. You get data points, projected fantasy contributors from Joe Dolan and Jake Tribby. You get Dynasty Buy Lows from Wes Huber, John Hansen's Final Points, and you get interviews from team beat writers. What more could you possibly ask for? They got you covered there at Fantasy Points. Now, we are going to get into this show here because we are bringing you episode 136 here, but we're going to do part A, part B, part C, and part D, 1, 2, 3, and 4, talking about the quarterbacks, talking about the running backs, tight ends, and wide receivers, and how it all breaks down according to the consensus ADP and how we feel about those numbers. Joining me as always, Major Caldwell, Tara Roberts. How you all doing tonight?
That was loud.
I'm sleepy. So forewarning, I'm going off of like 1 hour of sleep. So if I say something that doesn't make sense, don't judge me.
Oh, we're gonna get the best Tara now that she's sleepy. Let's mess with her, get her going.
Disorient.
Well, the best
Right.
way to mess with someone is to combine the ADP of the consensus with a little bit of a Scott Fishbowl flavor, because we know that scoring is out of the control there right now when it comes to fantasy football purposes. We know there's a tight end premium on first downs and catches. We also know that a little bit different there. It's 6 points for a touchdown for quarterbacks, and you get a little bit of a negative charge there on incompletions, a little bit of a positive charge there on those completions. So, you know, there's a little bit to go with those little more efficient quarterbacks here. So guys like Tua Tagovailoa, Derek Carr, they kind of get bumped up those rankings for the Scott Fishbowl, whereas they may not in the consensus here that we are using from the fantasypoints.com that uses one of the big name ones, the FPPC, that as far as ADP is concerned. Let me just run down some of the top quarterbacks in ADP currently right now on June 21st. I think that's what the day is today. At number one, you got Josh Allen, you got Justin Herbert, you got Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson kind of as that top five. I don't think there's going to be much argument with a lot of people. Maybe one person up, down, depending on how you want to look at it. I think that's the consensus top five just about everywhere. Then you got number 6, 7, 8 as Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, and Dak Prescott. Number 9, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson at 10, Stafford at 11, Aaron Rodgers at 12, and Derek Carr coming in at number 13, which is a little bit higher than what we are used to seeing him most seasons. Trey Lance coming in at number 14, Kirk Cousins at 15. And if we want to keep going through the top 20, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson comes in there at number 19. At number 20, Matt Ryan. Now, Tara, looking at this ADP, which quarterback is too high in your opinion?
Well, you've already got me because I'm the one person that didn't know that we were doing SFB scoring in terms of what our answers are.
So
with this.
yeah, so
okay,
I think he just threw that in right now so he can win. I think that's what's going on.
Makes sense. You know, it's very on brand. But
you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, right?
right. The quarterback I'm too high on, it's Joe Burrow. I love Joe Burrow. I do. But again, as you guys know, I tend to lean towards those rushing upside quarterbacks, not saying that he can't run, just that he is not a running quarterback with that level of upside that you're going to see on a weekly basis. And where you're taking him right now in terms of ADP, I think you're taking him at the ceiling. It could be a little bit lower, so I'm not willing to take that risk.
So when you look at these quarterbacks right behind him, you like that Konami code type cheat code quarterback there. And you've got guys like Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, and Dak Prescott. Would you put all four of those quarterbacks ahead of Joe Burrow?
I don't have my rankings up, but that sounds about right. I want to say I would have him at 8 or 9, and the majority of those guys would be ahead of him.
And I'm going to assume that Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, and Patrick Mahomes are probably the number 3 for just about everyone across the board.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
Major, who's that quarterback that is too high in ADP for you, which is kind of shocking here, really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Niners fan, and I got to keep it real. Like, Trey Lance, like, how is he ranked above quarterbacks who actually played a game? I don't understand. We got to relax sometimes with these rankings. Like, I think he's thrown, 100 passes in his last, 3 years of playing football. Like, we don't know anything about this guy. Yes, a ton of upside. The ceiling is super high, but the bottom is really low as well. So I would just be a little cautious on him, and I'm not ranking him above Trevor Lawrence or anyone who's taken a snap last year. You know what I mean? So I'll wait and see what he does, and then next year we can throw him in the top 15. That's crazy.
Trey Lance, I don't think talent is ever the issue. Consistency might be at the next level until he again gets his feet wet there. And he's always going to have that rushing upside. We know what he can do. He's got a rocket of an arm, which that ability where he's going to pull that ball down and run until he understands what kind of defenses are throwing at him. That may really hurt guys like George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, and even Deebo Samuel this year. Now, for me, I like to get under Terrace skin every once in a while. And I'm going to say it's Aaron Rodgers for me. He's a little too high for me in ADP there. I know it's number 12, but I will take, and I'll say it right now, I'll take Derek Carr over him. I'll take Kirk Cousins over him. Why am I taking Kirk Cousins over Aaron Rodgers? Because Aaron Rodgers is losing things, and Kirk Cousins is actually gaining Adam Thielen back and a pretty good offensive coordinator turned head coach there in Minnesota that's going to go with that West Coast style offense there. So I really like Kirk Cousins this year, and I really do lean to it.
Well, you said
absolutely
Kirk
over Aaron Rodgers.
Over Rodgers.
I will put it that way. Yep. And I also like Tua Tagovailoa over Rodgers this year. I'm sorry, until I can see what Christian Watkins can do, what what Alan Lazard can do. Alan Lazard is not a speedster by any stretch of any imagination. I know he's going to see targets. I just don't see that materializing into a whole heck of a lot in 2022. Now, if Aaron Rodgers hears this, he's probably going to try and put me in my place pretty quick because he's pretty petty that way, which I totally get. And I'd rather him prove me wrong on someone else's roster than prove me right on my roster where I have him a little bit lower. So that's kind of where I stand with him. Now, Tara, which QB is too low in ADP for you?
For me, it's going to be Russell Wilson. And, for me, it's just track record. We know that when he's healthy, we know what he can do. We know his ceiling, and him in Denver. I think we need to temper our expectations a little bit in terms of the let Russ cook, because they are still going to rely heavily on that run game. When you look at the head coaching staff and offensive coordinator, you can do the math there and see what they're going to be doing at running back with both Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. But I really do like Russ with this receiving core. I think we're going to get a nice, stable, and if we're going by the SFB, a very efficient and effective quarterback that's not going to kill you. And with that receiving core, I think they're going to be pretty steady for him too. So I think that we can be a little bit higher on Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson kind of falls into that QB no land for me, where I don't know what to expect from him. Right now, he's sitting at that QB 10. Could he be QB 3? Absolutely, he could be. But I look at the guys ahead of him. Do I put him above Tom Brady? Probably not. Do I put him above Dak Prescott? Do I put him above Jalen Hurts, Murray, Burrow? I don't know if I can. Which of those quarterbacks would you put Wilson ahead of?
So I I would be okay with putting him ahead of Tom Brady. I know there's a lot of debate around Tom Brady right now with that receiving core. And while I do love Russell Gage and am a Russell Gage truther, it is Tom Brady and Mike Evans. And that receiving core, that offense looks a lot different as a whole than it did last year. So I do think that I would lean towards Russell Wilson.
All right, now over to you, Major. Now, this one's interesting, too, because you've got yourself the quarterback coming in here at QB 18, according to ADP. That is Trevor Lawrence. Why are you higher on him than most?
I mean, they got a new coach, and their coach made Carson Wentz look like an MVP. If you can make Carson Wentz look like an MVP, and then what's the other guy that won a championship? I don't even know the guy's name anymore. Like, he took two quarterbacks and made them look like MVP caliber type quarterbacks. And then you have the quarterback with the most tools ever since like John Elway. Like, it adds up to be money. So I'm big on Trevor Lawrence this year. I was a little early on him last year, but I'm all in this year as well. He has a good receiver core, a lot of speed, a lot of athletic players out there, and a coach who knows how to get those quarterbacks going. So once you get a great quarterback coach and then you have a quarterback who's capable, you can't go wrong.
Isn't this just the opposite argument that I just had for Kirk Cousins? I literally laid out the exact same argument for Kirk Cousins.
But Kirk Cousins doesn't have the talent.
Like that.
You missed the one factor that counts. He doesn't have that talent. I mean, I can't do anything about that.
He outperformed Trevor Lawrence last year. I mean, there's no doubt
about physical attributes.
It doesn't matter. We're talking fantasy here. Look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie. If we're talking about guys who have pretty hair, then yes, Trevor Lawrence is above Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins is a backup quarterback. He's just
Kirk Cousins is one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the National Football League.
Because he has
the numbers.
Go ahead.
Exactly. He's got weapons. It's important when you have weapons. When your number one weapon in Jacksonville is Christian Kirk, you're going to tell me Christian Kirk is going to outperform Justin Jefferson.
Well, in the next show, we're going to talk about my receivers, and I have Kirk being a breakout player. He's had two of the greatest receiver mentors in AJ Green and
DeAndre Hopkins.
So it's like, come on, man. Actually, I'm skipping the show. I'll save it for then, but you have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, I'm going to stay in Florida here. I'm going to go with Tua Tagovailoa as that guy who's too low in ADP right now. QB 16. I mean, I'm putting him, like I already mentioned, Aaron Rodgers. I like him a little bit more than Aaron Rodgers. I like him a lot more than I do Trey Lance right now. I'm not going to quite put him in that Matthew Stafford. He's probably right there, Derek Carr. I feel comfortable with that. I just think Tua Tagovailoa is going to do some good things in this Dolphins offense. He doesn't need to have that big arm. When you've got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, you can literally throw a pass for -2 yards, and those two guys are going to take it to the house for 98. So I'm not worried about him having to absolutely air it out. So give me Tua Tagovailoa. He's too low right now. If you're looking for a guy who's going to be a QB2 that can give you QB1 numbers at the end of the year, I think that's going to be Tua Tagovailoa when it's all said and done. Now, Tara, who is a player that you're trying to avoid? And please tell me it's Trevor Lawrence.
It's not Trevor Lawrence. He's too far back for me to avoid. I mean, it's not really taking much of a risk at his ADP.
We were like here for like 2 seconds and it felt uncomfortable. She's like, no, I have to trash Major. All right, go ahead.
Although I do say we gotta clip and save this Tua thing. This is quite the hill to stand on, and I want to be able to track this throughout the season because you said some names there in terms of who you think he will outperform, and I just want to let's track this. Like I want the Tua tracker for Matt for the season.
But that'll go really good next to the Jacoby Myers tracker I ran last year too.
Yes, yeah. Okay, let's make this your thing for the season. I need to see this. But the player I'm avoiding, and it's not a huge knock, but it's Kyler. And we talked about my rushing quarterbacks, and when you kind of lump him together, I can take Lamar Jackson, I can wait, and I can take Jalen Hurts. Dak is going to get more involved in the running game as well. So there's a lot of options there that I know can finish out a full season strong. And that is my only problem with Kyler. As someone who has rostered him a lot, it's cool in the beginning of the season, but once you get towards the playoff times and he just decides, like, there's injuries or, the team as a whole starts to go down, it just gets a little bit frustrating. So I need to see him complete a full season as a top 5 QB before I want to take him over guys that I feel like I can get more consistency out of.
Yeah, Kyler Murray, he was the only quarterback to play in like 15 games or less and still crack the top 10 in fantasy production last year. And this is despite what you just pointed out here, him tailing off towards the back end of last year. It's not just a last year thing. 2020, 2019, same thing for Kyler Murray. It's a habit at this point. Probably one of the reasons why the Cardinals aren't quite convinced in paying him that big money at this point. Now, Major, who are you avoiding?
I'm gonna go with Tom Brady just because the cliff the cliff is here, right? I know we say every single year, he's gonna fall off the cliff. He went to the edge of the cliff and he started building a bridge, but I'm like, he's gonna run out of material or something soon, right? He has to fall off the cliff at some point. You can't be 90 years old and being one of the top quarterbacks in the league. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say Tom Brady is not going to perform like he did last year, and I'm probably going to be wrong, but one of these years I will be right and I will rub it in everyone's face. So again, I'm going on record. Tom Brady he can't keep doing this, right? Can he? I don't know.
He can. He's superhuman.
I'm not betting against him. I bet against him 6 years ago.
He's like all the things that's not what you look at, like the best athlete, and you see him, you're like, whose dad is that, or who counting is that? You know what I mean? So it's frustrating, but hey, I'm a hater, so I'm gonna go with Tom on this one.
Hey, that TB12 program got him from his college days, from that 0 to hero to where he is now as far as bods are concerned. I mean,
is he still a hero with his people say that, but he's still a dad bod? Come on.
Man. No, this is a dad bod, okay?
He's
still got some athleticism.
He's not. If he drink a couple beers, I think he might be right there with you, bro.
Well, you kind of alluded to this guy earlier here when you said he was too high in your ADP. I'm avoiding Trey Lance. I can't get behind Trey Lance right now. I just can't. I need to see something out of him first. I wasn't big on him last year. He couldn't even beat Jimmy Garoppolo out, okay? We're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, and I love Jimmy Garoppolo, but he couldn't beat Jimmy out. Jimmy's still there somehow, some way. They can't get rid of Jimmy, and they're like,
because no one wants him.
I'm like, they're like, yeah, you know what? We should probably hang on to Jimmy just in case. So I think if things go south for the 49ers with Trey Lance, I think Jimmy could make an appearance sooner than later. I'm not going to put it out of the realm of possibilities here, but I just can't get behind Trey Lance until I see him do something. Once he does something, I'll get right on board with him. But right now, I'm avoiding him. I love how Terry just kind of gives me the side eye there too as she's shaking her head at me.
No, she made a whole.
We'll talk about it.
Said the name. She was like, ugh.
We'll talk about it.
So we want to look for these sleepers. We want to dig a little bit deeper here when we're talking about quarterbacks. And Tara, who is that sleeper quarterback for you who has the potential to turn in a top 8 type season, who's currently outside of the top 15 quarterbacks right now?
Top 8, I feel pretty secure in exactly who I think is going to finish as a top 8. And so technically nobody. But if I had to say somebody who I think technically could, Jameis Winston, I think, is someone who could actually.
Major's MVP.
Yeah, he's someone who we know has we know he has the capability.
That was last year.
We know he has the capability to put up a top 8 performance. It's just, will the assets be there for him to be able to utilize, and will the coaching staff utilize him in that way? We saw a different Jameis last year, a more efficient Jameis in a different system, and he actually technically did produce in the confines of exactly what they wanted him to do before they opened up the offense after they had to later on. But in my opinion, if I think and I look and see who after the top 15 actually has the capabilities to be able to realistically do that, it is Jameis.
I mean, Jameis is, he's the goofiest person in the world. Like, when you watch his not his highlights, but you watch his workout tape and the moves he does, his faces he makes, I don't get on board anymore. But he's always.
But it's genuinely who he is. It's not like
he's scared. He looks scared all the time.
He's a genuinely goofy person. Like the things that he says, like the other day he called Chris Olave like as smooth as the other side of the pillow, and that's legit. He's legit saying that. It's not a joke. Like it's just, you just got to look at him from a comedy perspective. It's funny if you look at it the right way.
Maybe that's what I need to do.
It's got to see the comedy in it.
Which quarterback are you looking at the right way?
I was going to have one. A good segue there. I had one here, but I see that you had him, so I just changed last minute, and I'm gonna go with Derek Carr. I mean, you give him actually the best wide receiver in the league, and he already has one of the top tight ends in the league, and he has one of the top possession receivers in the league, and he has a pretty good running back committee back there. Everything he always wanted, he has now. I don't know if it may be a year or two too late, but I think Carr still has it in him to produce at a high level, especially with those target monsters that he has on, between what's his name? Drawing blanks. The receiver and the tight end. My bad. But
Renfro and Waller.
No, not Renfro. The new guy they got. Adams. Thank you. Fucking Adams. Yeah, so he got two targets, or two big targets that he can go to at any time. He can throw bad balls and they will make it look good. So I'm looking for big things from Carr this year. I know, Matt, you're happy about that, right?
Yeah, last time Carr had weapons like he's got now, it was Michael Crabtree and Amari Cooper. And that time he put himself into MVP consideration at one point.
That was like 2 weeks. He had 2 weeks of consideration. Now you stretched it out to a whole season.
He had 6 MVP votes, which is more than Russell Wilson's ever garnered. Now, and that is true. You can fact check that. Russell Wilson has never got an MVP vote.
Russell's played in the middle of nowhere, and Carr's played for one of the most famous franchises in all of sports. Like, come on, let's look at the nuance here, buddy.
Russell Wilson's in his second city. Carr's already been to 3. We're already talking Oakland, Vegas. I'm sure he was in LA at one point too. Don't fact check me on that part. But hey, for me, that sleeper quarterback is none other than Daniel Jones of the New York Giants. I'm looking at this strength of schedule. It is very friendly to quarterbacks. If I'm looking for a quarterback right now who has QB2 pushing himself into QB1 consideration, you look at the weapons here. If the weapons can stay healthy, and that's the big key to the whole situation here, because last year the Giants were not healthy in any way, shape, or form. You've got Kenny Golladay, again, huge type of injury guy. You've got Sterling Shepard, another injury guy. Kadarius Toney is quickly becoming an injury type guy. And then you've got Darius Slayton, But Wan'Dale Robinson is kind of that jack of all trades kind of guy that can do a little bit of everything. Plus, Saquon Barkley looks like he's coming back. And I'm looking forward to see what Saquon Barkley can do. We'll talk about him a little bit more on Thursday's show when we talk about the running backs. Now, what's the earliest that you are willing to draft a quarterback, not only just in your regular leagues, but in the Scott Fish Bowl, considering the a little bit of a perk to having quarterbacks in this league, especially Superflex? Tara.
In Superflex, I'm obviously willing to go round 1. It all depends on who's on the board and what position, but more than happy to do it.
And then Major, what about you? Where are you taking a quarterback?
So I'm going for like a regular league. I'm gonna go right 6th round. That might be a little early, but I like to get in like right before people start to chomping a little bit. And then for the super flex or the Scott Fish, I'm gonna go with the 2nd round. I'm still a running back guy. I'm gonna take the best running back off the board, and then I'm gonna get into the quarterback and maybe a receiver after that. But I kind of let the draft come to me, so this question is kind of hard for me. I don't really have like a set spot where I'm selecting players. I just kind of pick whatever's best player on the board,
And for me here, when we're talking about quarterbacks here, non-super flex, regular league, I'm waiting to the 9th round. Maybe give me a Matthew Stafford kind of in that range. That's the kind of guy I feel comfortable with there. But also, when we're talking about the Scott Fish Bowl, I mean, you're taking quarterback early. You're going at least number 3 off the board, in my opinion. Maybe Jonathan Taylor, maybe Christian McCaffrey could come off ahead of him. Maybe Travis Kelce before quarterback. I wouldn't, because when you're picking that far ahead and it goes all the way back and you have to wait all the way back for another quarterback, it may put you out of consideration there for a quarterback that you want. So I'm taking a quarterback right off the get-go in Scott Fishbowl. But for the most part, I'm waiting till the 9th round. Now, we all have players that we can't quit. Let's kind of rapid fire this here, Tara. Who's that player you can't quit?
It's Dak. I know people get frustrated sometimes with Dak and feeling like his performance isn't living up to the expectations, but in my opinion, he was still a little hobbled in the beginning of last season, and the offense was a little bit off. I still have faith. I'm not quitting Dak. I will still be drafting him.
Major.
Yeah, I'm going Aaron Rodgers. Like, he's not even further on the field stuff. I like him off the field. I'm choosing him because I like he's just saying what he wants to say, how he wants to say it, dress what he wants to dress like, grow a beard, don't grow a beard, have a ponytail, wear a man bun. I love all that stuff. I like that he just doesn't care about anything anymore. He's just like the old crotchety like quarterback. Who you got, Matt?
Well, I love how you kind of use Aaron Rodgers there because every day is a Halloween with the Raiders. So I'm going to go Derek Carr. And for Aaron Rodgers, he's embracing that Halloween spirit there, getting in a relationship with a witch. So, I mean, that is something that's definitely in the possibilities for him. But Derek Carr is that guy I can't quit right now. Now he's got the weapons. He was good. He was efficient last year. The only problem he had was he couldn't get the ball in the end zone. That should not be a problem with Devontae Adams, as Tara knows. Now, Tara, who's that player that you are drafting no matter what? No matter what I say, who's that player you're drafting?
No matter what neither of you say, guys, let's talk about it. It's Trey Lance. I would rapid fire, but I feel like I have to defend him a little bit. First of all, Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to step in and play this season in place of Trey Lance. The only reason that he's still on the team is because he pushed his surgery to a point when it made him unappealing for anyone to realistically be able to trade for him. So he's kind of dead in water right now. They'll trade him if they can. They're being very open about that. And obviously they're not going to cut him because it makes zero sense to cut him. But if they need to and they can't get a trade partner out of him because of the whole injury situation, he'll just be the backup quarterback. It's not a threat. They fully committed to Trey Lance. I'm drafting him because I really do think the value is there. When you look at the upside, the rushing upside that he has, he's someone who is realistically a QB1 finisher, and you're getting him at a very discounted late round price. So yeah, Trey Lance, man, get on board.
Yeah, you kind of won me over a little bit, but yeah. I'm gonna go with Lamar Jackson. There's been a lot of slander going on with this guy. You know, his whole team was injured last year, had no receivers, nothing. You could only put so much stuff on your back before you start to break down yourself. So I'm expecting him to have a monster season. He's coming off a down season. He's getting all these guys back. He got some young receivers who now have a few years under their belts. He's getting his running backs back. I think the coach is kind of open to letting him throw the ball a little bit more now. So we'll see. I think Lamar Jackson is going to be that QB1, most likely the MVP of the league, just off of the anticipation of him being down and coming back.
Ooh, you just put the MVP kiss of death on him this year, Major. Oh boy, we've got our Jameis Winston
MVP
for 2022.
It works. I gave Jameis Winston, and now look, Tara's already on board with Jameis now. You see how it works? I'm always a year ahead, you know?
Well, I'm going to stick with the Konami Code quarterbacks here, and I'm going to go Jalen Hurts is that guy I'm drafting everywhere in every league right
out
now.
Loud at yeah.
Ouch.
It's unrelated to this. Do you guys remember? Sorry, Major.
I've never seen you laugh this hard before.
You said you're always a year ahead. Who was it? Cal that said like Major Damas?
Yeah.
It was. I think it probably was Cal.
There's Major Damas and there's Major Dumbass.
Major
Dumbass.
No, I think that's more like a math thing to say.
I remembered the Major Dumbass thing. It made me laugh.
And you laughed that hard. Okay.
Well, it makes you feel better. She started laughing when I brought up Jalen Hurts.
I thought she was laughing at you, but it's actually at me. So now my feelings are a little bit hurt. So yeah, Matt, who do you have, Matt?
Anyway,
great memories, guys. It's just
Jalen Hurts. You're getting him after these other quarterbacks. You're getting him after Allen. You're getting him after Mahomes. You're getting him after Herbert. You're getting him after 5 or 6 other quarterbacks. He has a low-key ability to finish as a QB1 this year. You look at what he did last year. He was putting up top 5 quarterback numbers weekly. He had a few bad weeks there at the back end of the season that kind of cost him. enter A.J. Brown. We know the Eagles are a running team. So if he can get that efficiency up, I mean, you give him that Ryan Tannehill type season a couple of years ago where Tannehill slid in as a QB1, and you put Jalen Hurts' rushing upside to that. I mean, who knows what could happen with Jalen Hurts, and you're getting him behind these other quarterbacks. So for me, he's a guy I can't go without in a draft. I'm probably not going to get him in the 9th round. Like, I like to draft quarterbacks, but if there's a quarterback that I have to get up, we have to move up and get, it's going to be Jalen Hurts. And what I have to get is that discount over at fantasypoints.com, that 10% off using promo code Vipers22. And you know what? They got all kinds of great content, and we got plenty more content coming your way very soon with part 2 of the show coming here a little bit later. Talk about tight ends, and then we got running backs on Thursday. We've got wide receivers on Friday. So you're going to want to make sure to like, subscribe to the YouTube channel so you do not miss a single show. And we'll see you next time. Take care.